All right, and we are live. Thanks so much for joining today, everyone. This is Christopher Nelson with Wealthward Capital. We help technology employees and entrepreneurs diversify into passive income portfolios. Thank you for joining Reboot and Thrive. Here we are in week 2, and this is all about living well. And so we've had a phenomenal week with, my sister kicking off, really talking about dinner table magic. We had, Tom Merrick yesterday talking about body weight exercises and how you can actually start a body weight practice today. You can start it today. And I'm really happy to be joined today by Fred Sassani. And Fred Sassani is a personal friend of mine, but he's somebody that I find incredibly inspirational. I hope you will too. I'm not going to give away too much. But Fred, why don't you just give us, a 2-minute overview about, what you do, who you do it for.
Hey, thanks, Chris. I really appreciate you having me on and giving me an opportunity to be able to speak to your audience. What we do here in Austin, we have a gym. It's called Bodies by Design, and we've been in business for almost 18 years now. And our focus in our facility is not so much about just getting people in and getting people out and working out. It's truly understanding the root of why they're sitting in our office asking us for help. We like to call ourselves like the Marine Corps of the fitness. We're like the last line of defense. They've already tried everything you could possibly think of. They've gone to all the gyms. They've had all the diets, but something somehow, some way just didn't work. And now they're sitting in our office asking us, please help me. I've tried everything and nothing has worked. And for us, our motto in our facility and just what we embody in our fitness family is fitness from the inside out. Once we find out exactly what that person is truly sitting there for, then we can actually find a pathway and a solution to what they're doing, but then reverse engineering that process and allowing that process to actually happen over a long period of time. So we actually tell everybody the opposite. We tell them that if you're here for a quick transformation, you got to go down the street. If you're just looking to get in a wedding dress, you got to go down the street. People that come to us, they want a transformation, and that transformation usually always actually has to happen from the inside, because anybody can lift weights, anybody can run, anybody can go on a diet. And if you go into, the Barnes and Noble section of fitness and health, there is thousands of books. Well, why is there so many books, but then we have 70% of our population so overweight? So it's not so much what people should be doing, it's the habitual things that they do on a daily basis that's actually blocking them from reaching their goals. So our mission there is to not only get people fit and into better looking clothes, make them feel better, make them more healthier. That's definitely a part of it. But if they don't understand the process of what it takes to get to that, it is just like a boomerang effect. They'll go right back where they started and probably worse off.
Well, and thank you for that. And this is where I really want to kick off the conversation, because I think that if everybody heard what Fred just said, is they start from the inside out. And this to me is the key message. And, when I first met Fred and we were getting to know each other, we were talking about personal training, and I was asking him, I said, so what do you think? What should I do? I'm a home gym guy. I do things at home. And he reached in and he gave me a book called The 4 Agreements.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do about working out. And so when I think about what we're trying to do here with Reboot and Thrive, is we're going through a hard reboot right now. And this is the opportunity to put new information into your system as our calendars have been blown up, our schedules have been blown up, and we're now living in this compressed environment. I really want to take some time with Fred today, and I really want to try and unpack, this concept of inside out.
Yeah.
And I know that you in your gym, you're anchored on mindset first and then physical. Where do you usually tend to start? So if somebody's walking in and they're saying, okay, I'm here, I'm at this crisis point, or I'm at this inflection point, where do you start them off as far as, reflecting and getting them thinking inside out?
Well, I think nowadays, because there are so many services out there, what people are looking for is they're looking for genuine services. Because if we're just sitting there trying to con you into buying a big, personal training package,
Sure.
You're going to sniff that out. Okay. Because we're going to leave that up to the other places. When somebody comes and sits in our office and really asking us for help, they fill out your basic kind of Q&A, how's your health? How much do you eat? We'll go through all of that stuff. But the first thing that I tell them right away is, before we start this conversation, I want you to understand that we are going to really get down to the real reason why you're here. Because most of the time it's like, I want to get toned, I want to get fit, I want to get lean, I want to add muscle, I want to lose weight. But then we start with the whys. Why do you want to get there? And they give us that answer. And then once they give us that answer, is you ask why again they gave that answer. So by the time the fifth why comes into play, that's when the real reasons actually happen. And I'll give you a prime example. Right before all of this quarantine, I had a conversation with a new client that was coming in, and I kept on asking her why, and kept on asking her why, and kept on asking her why. And finally, she got to a point. She said, look, I have a 6-year-old son. I can't go out with him. I can't run around with him. I don't want him to feel like that I'm disabled and that I can't do anything with him. I'm always making excuses about going and doing stuff that, we're sitting around. I want to be able to chase after him. But her first reason was, I want to look better at a wedding that's coming up in May. So, and then she had body image issues, and she didn't want to take her clothes off when she was at the swimming pool, and she hadn't been able to be in a bathing suit ever since she was 14 years old. But those are like deep psychological stuff that nobody really wants to talk about. So it's easier to just say, yeah, I just want to get ready for a wedding that's coming up. That's my cousin's in May. So once we get to those whys, then once you find your why, it's really hard to actually stop. Most people don't know their why. That's why they're constantly running around like they have no idea which direction to go. And I gave her this example. I said, if you see like a trail runner, someone that is, they got the shoes, they got the outfit, they go into the woods and they're ready to run on this very windy trail, rocks. Most people are there with blindfolds on. So they're constantly running into trees and into cactus and falling off cliffs. Because unless you know exactly what you're looking at and what the problem is and what the obstacles are and where you need to put that foot next in order for you not to break your ankle or run into a tree, you're just guessing. And that's why so many people start these programs and they never stay with it, because they don't have a why. And if you ask somebody why, they usually stop after the first one or the second why. But you have to keep asking until you get to that fifth or sixth why. And then once you find that why, then we can really build around that and say, okay, we now understand why you're here. So let's build a program that will take care of that why and get you to that goal, because that's what's going to make you truly happy. Not if you look better in a dress in May, because if you lost 20 pounds by May, you're probably going to gain it back before August.
Right.
Because once that wedding is over, that why is over. And once that why is over, there's no reason for you to have any goal to be able to do it. And another thing we always tell people is like, there's not truly happiness and sadness. There's usually sadness, but happiness is not, it's not usually there. What's there is purpose. People that are the happiest are the most purposeful people.
So you're starting, so I'm going to pause you right there, because I want to go back. The why thing I think was incredibly powerful, right? And even as we were having this conversation, like I'm reflecting on my own health journey. And I know too, myself having kids late, like one of the things that's very important for me is keeping that physicality so that I can play with my boys. I also thought a lot about, myself, like I really want to just be fit and active through life. But let me ask you a question though, getting back to the whys. When you are sitting there across from a client and you're going into the why conversation, do you tend to find, and this is where I want everyone to realize, like Fred is not a fly-by-night gym owner. Like he's been in this business for 20 years. He's built a cult following of people who love him, who seek out his services, and he's very exclusive. So this is where, this is why I'm trying to bring forward people who are excellent in their field to have these conversations. And so do you find that somebody can get to the fifth why right away, or do you find that it takes 2 or 3 conversations? And I know that you guys are big on, writing exercises,
Yeah.
journaling. How do you take someone on that journey? Because I think that people have the time right now to reflect.
Yeah.
So I want to try and figure out how we could give them some tools.
I think that's a really good question, because we have some people that are very emotionally stable and understand their situation. They understand their why. They're very kind of like A-type personality. They're like, this is what I'm doing it for. This is how I'm doing it. I'm coming in, I'm knocking it out. Other people may not know their why, and that's completely okay. One thing that is so beautiful about the gym, about working out, about physically moving, is you get to prove to your brain. It's kind of like you're trying to convince your parents to buy you a car. You have to have, like, you're just trying to give them all these reasons and you're doing all these things. So go back to the physicality of it. So you get to prove to your body, let's say you've never ran before and you put your shoes on and you run down the street and you almost die and you only ran for 30 seconds. Well, the next day you run for 45 seconds. The next day you run for 1 minute. The next day you run for 1:30 minutes. What you're doing is you're constantly proving to your brain that you are capable and able of breaking these boundaries that you had set in front of yourself as limitations. Once you do that to your brain, your thought process starts to change. Right. What I equate to a lot of my clients is when we do squats. The foundation movement of anything that we do in our facility is teaching people how to do squats. And the reason for it is not so much because of the squats, because I tell them that if you do squats properly, you can probably do your life properly. Because squats requires over 300 muscles at one time in order for it to be performed properly. How many things do we have going on in our lives? Probably more than 300 if you actually start counting it.
Yeah, definitely.
So think about squats. I always tell them, I was like, you started with your body weight. Your legs were so sore, you didn't know what to do with yourself. Then I gave you some dumbbells. You were like, these dumbbells are so heavy. I can't believe I'm doing that. Then we went to a kettlebell. Then we put a 45-pound bar on your back. That's just life, man. When you grow up, the weight just gets heavier on life as far as how much responsibilities you have. And I truly give them those metaphors of understanding, like, what you're doing in the gym. You show up every single day. It's teaching your brain to just show up for the thing that you signed up for.
Right.
And that goes for your life. You need to show up at your house. You need to show up in your kids' life. You need to show up in your marriage. You need to show up at work. You don't have to do all of that at one time. You can do that in the gym and constantly prove to yourself that you can actually show up to a place and just get a little bit better every single day, just a tiny bit. And if we can teach them that, and you talked about the second book did you talk about the second book? Did you bring that up?
No, I didn't bring up the slight edge,
okay.
But I mean,
and
we can talk about the fact that,
this is where it leads into it.
Fred's never once given me any gym advice, but he's constantly throwing books. He's constantly sharpening my brain. But yeah, the second book, The Slight Edge, I thought was phenomenal. Please go into that.
Well, someone, when I was 21, one of my clients introduced me to this book, and he said, if you read this book and if you understand this concept, you'll have an amazing life. I don't know how many times I've heard that before. I rolled my eyes. The book sat on my bookshelf. I'm not kidding, for probably 2 to 3 years. I never even touched it. And one day I was going on a trip to California. I said, I'm going to be sitting in that damn plane for 3 hours. I might as well just take this book and start reading it. And I'll go back to the whole squat thing. When I started reading this book and I got hooked. And the reason for it was, it really teaches you the concept of compound interest. Most people, especially your audience that are great with money, that they've created this wealth, they understand compound interest. But what I didn't understand was the compound interest of everyday actions.
Right.
And that was huge. I mean, if you really think about, if someone smokes 1 cigarette a day, that's 365 cigarettes a year. Right? And then after 10 years, that's a lot. After 20 years, that's a lot more. But that's just 1 cigarette. When you think to yourself, 1 is not going to really hurt me. Well, over time, it will. Same thing with money. If you just put a little bit of money, in over a long period of time with an average return, it could turn into millions. So the book really set the tone on how compound interest truly is what we really need to be teaching our kids and what we need to learn in our own life, because everything adds up. If you hugged your kids one more time through the day, that's 365 extra hugs a day. I mean, hugs a year. If you kiss your wife once a day extra, that's an extra 365 kisses. What do you think that's going to do to your marriage? If you called one friend every single day, that could mean you could have 365 meaningful conversations in a year. And that's just in 1 year. And you guys can multiply that by 10, by 15, by 20, however you want. And not only have I seen that with compound interest with investments of my own, but also the investments of fitness too. I see my friends from high school. I see my friends from college, and some of them had just let go. And they think just because I'm a trainer or just because I'm physically active, I take care of myself and I'm, oh, he has a gym. He's going to be, I have to make that conscious effort every single day, because I understand that if I can just put this in today, I will reap the benefits in the future. And going back to the whole squats, that's what I was kind of going through with. What we do go through with each client is teaching them, look, if you can get better every single day, what'll happen is you'll be able to squat a little bit better. You'll get a little bit stronger. And what happens is that your entire systems get stronger. Why? Because you're using over 300 muscles at one time. So we don't waste any time as far as teaching people compound movements. We just find out exactly where they are, help them understand that it's going to take a long time. If you're with us for the long haul, you're going to be the one that's going to benefit the most. Our average clients at Bodies by Design actually stay for anywhere between 5 to 7 years. I still have clients since I was 21 years old. And I always tell these people, I said, we all grew up together. I mean, these clients were in their 30s and now they're in their 50s. So, and we're still training hard together. But if you look at them, I give you a perfect example. I have a 77-year-old lady that to this day outworks most of the 20 and the 30-year-olds. And I'm not talking about like little stuff. We're talking about proper kettlebell swings. We're talking, hammer swings. We're talking about, pull downs, push-ups, squats, lunges. 77 years old. And at one point she had to get double knee replacement surgery because she had some bad surgeries in the past. And she was actually back in the gym doing what she was doing 2 months later.
Wow. That's incredible.
And it is, because she never let go of the rope. That's what we always talk about. Never let go of the rope. Find out what's important in your life and never let go of the rope, and always constantly move forward. So when they show up to the gym, we take care of the physical part of it. But the main thing is constantly when they're in the gym, we're teaching them, coaching them, pushing them, and helping them understand that if you constantly show up, don't let go of the rope, you're going to get results. Because right now, Christopher, what everybody wants, especially in this day and age, you click a button and you just appear, and you click a button and you purchase things. I mean, everything is happening instantaneously.
Right.
What people really want is that they really want that quantum leap. They want to go from 1 to 100 without actually working through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 100. And if you go through a quantum leap, you actually miss the steps that it requires in order for your brain to actually catch up. Because your body will always get stronger quicker than your mind will. So it takes a lot longer. So your body actually will get stronger 3 to 4 times and will get better than at that rate of speed of becoming better than your brain does.
Wow.
So it takes a long time. It takes a long time to convince that stubborn brain of yours that this is what you should be doing. This is what you should be consistent in. This is what you should be investing in. And I know you have a lot of investors, and the biggest investments you can actually make is in your health, because what good is it to have a fat bank account, but you're sick as hell and you can't do anything?
Completely agree. And I just want to recap, because I think, you've hit on some nice things here that I think that we can replay to everybody. And I think number one is finding your why, and not the surface level why, but we're going 5 levels deep. And I think that you touched on it a little bit, and I'm going to double click on this after I do this wrap up or roll up. And that is purpose, right? So you have your why, you have your purpose, and then you have a philosophy that says you're always getting better, right? You don't have to be perfect today. You're not making the quantum leap today, but if you're just incrementally getting better, and then that excuse me, that sort of creates that rope, and you're never
Yeah,
letting go of the rope. And you're always realizing that as you're making improvements in your body, you have to make sure that you're aware my mind is going to be lagging behind, and it takes a lot of
it
work.
is. It is. And the way that you can speed up your mind is by to reading and by to educating yourself, by listening and being a part of a team that's actually moving forward. Because look, it's really easy to get caught up in the talking heads. It's really easy to turn on CNN. It's really easy to go out
Yeah.
and about. Like people are saying, like when they see me and my family out and about, they're like, "How are you guys surviving?" My answer to them is my life has actually improved more. Why? Because I get to spend more time with my family, which is my number one why. I get to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my family.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened in years. I get to have my wife home, which hasn't happened in the last 12 years. And she gets to work from home. So we get to see each other all the time. You know, we transformed our gym into a virtual platform at the moment until everything goes back into play, which is phenomenal because everybody is on there. Everybody is still getting their workouts in.
Mm,
So my life has gotten better because I've chosen that way. I choose to look at it that way. You
yep.
can strip, you can look, we're all after making sure that we're financially safe. We're all
Right.
after, making sure that our families are safe. We're all after all these things. However, everything can be completely taken away from you. Everything. But the only thing that cannot be taken care that cannot be taken away from a man is the way that he reacts to any situation. Period.
That's right.
You can be put in the worst situation of all time. It's your choice how you want to react to it. And that's what I always tell my clients. You have an opportunity. You have an opportunity to get better today. And if you get better today, that's just one more building block in order for you to be able to get better the next day. So I think in order for the brain to catch up, one of the first books that I recommend that I think everyone should read is The Four Agreements by Marco Ruiz. And the second one is The Slight Edge. And those two books put together can really give you perspective on maybe you should be looking at life maybe a little bit differently, and understand that the only asset is not the rental property that you own. It's not the commercial property that you own. The only asset that you actually have in life is time. And if you can utilize that better by getting up earlier, by having more focus time, by having 30 minutes of reading, by doing whatever it takes in order for you to just get a little bit better, you're going to look back 365 days and you're going to realize, man, I knocked out 12 to 15 books a year. My goal is to always knock out 20 books a year, because the way that I think about it is that if I read 10 pages a day, and if I read a 300-page book, I can do one book every single month. So that's 12 books in a year. So, and that may be even more if the books are shorter, but my goal is just 10 pages a day.
Right.
So very small increments over a long period of time gives you a amazing dividend. And so does fitness. 30 minutes a day, an hour a day, just of moving, that's 365 hours in a year. You don't think you would be more fit? You don't think you would feel better? You don't think you would be emotionally, physically more happy about yourself? Of course you would. Or you could sit there and binge Netflix for 6 hours and not even know what the hell happened and go through 2 bags of chips. So it's all choices. It's all choices and perspective, man. That's really how it is.
It is great. No, and thank you. I know that we're getting to the bottom of the hour here, and I always enjoy having these conversations with you. And I think that, the mindset, and I think what you've given to me, you've given me, those books, and you give me those gifts. And that's the one thing that I always focus on too, is making sure that
Yeah.
I'm anchored in my why and just getting a little bit better every day, whether that's mentally both, and then also physically. What would
Yeah.
be, and I'm going to make sure and add some links to those books so that people
Sure.
can have
Yeah,
access
that'll
to
be great.
those in the notes. But what would you leave people with, some parting thoughts? We're here in this reboot. People are in this environment. They have their families all around. What would you have them focus on?
The biggest thing that I always say to myself every single day, to my wife, to my kids, is focus on one thing at a time.
Mm,
right now we're in a situation to where you can have your phone and your wife is talking to you and then your kid is pulling on you. I always tell my family, listen, if we're eating dinner, let's eat dinner. That's all we're doing. If you're reading a book, read the book. If you're working on your emails, work on your emails. If you can just focus on one thing at a time and allow yourself to be able to be at peace with that one thing,
Mm.
you can get so many things done at 100% instead
Wow.
of trying to do 3, 4, 5, 6 things that are, you're only giving yourself 25%. Nobody likes 25%. You know, I'm giving you 100% of my attention right now,
Right.
and you're giving me 100% of your attention. And that's the biggest thing that we can actually give people is 100% of our attention, and let them know that you care about them, you love them, and don't listen to all these talking heads scaring the hell out of you. Just turn that stuff off, grab some books, get better every single day. And I mean, it's very simple when it comes down to it. And I think by coming home and this whole coronavirus thing is made us realize that we don't really need that much stuff.
Right.
We don't, I mean, we don't really need that much stuff. So, but yeah, just take one thing at a time, take it slow, and give your undivided attention to the people that you love the most, and just knock those small tasks out. And then next thing you know, you look back and you had so much done throughout the whole day.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Fred. I really appreciate you taking the time
Absolutely.
away to contribute to the audience. There was a lot in this 30 minutes here. So thank you so
Yeah,
much. And I just want to
absolutely.
thank everybody. Please make sure that you guys start some watch parties. Please like the Wealthward Capital Facebook page, join our YouTube channel. And tomorrow we'll be back again with my sister, Amanda Nelson, who homeschooled all of her kids. And so she's going to talk about how do we create an environment of education in our homes so that we can truly thrive with all these kids that we're now part-time teachers of.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that as well too, because I know that's definitely been a challenge for me and Regina. But at the same time, man, it's just these kind of shifts force you to get better and force you to learn new things. And because of that, we can all come out of this much, much better. We can become 2.0 versions of ourselves when we come out of this.
I'm with you. Thanks so much, Fred.
All right, man. Thank you so much.